I just graduated with a mechanical engineering degree from the City College of New York, and let me tell you, this major is no joke. It's challenging, it's time consuming, and if you're not careful, it can be overwhelming. But after making it through, I've learned some key strategies that can make your life way easier. Whether you're starting out or struggling to keep up, here are 8 essential tips to survive and succeed in mechanical engineering. Tip 1 is to know the class and the professor. Not all classes are created equal. For some classes, you're going to have to do a lot more homework than other classes. In others, the professor might want you to just memorize a few formulas and then you're good for the test. So you should figure out early on how difficult the class is and how much you're actually going to be doing for that class. So after you get the syllabus and in the first few weeks of the class, you should be able to tell, is this going to be one of those classes where I have to dedicate lots of study time every week, or is this one of those classes where I can get an old test, study the night before, and be fine? So knowing which type of class it is pretty important for helping you balance your time and not being blindsided by a hard class or spending too much time on a class that you don't need to be spending too much time on. Tip number 2 is to keep good notes. Make sure that your handwriting is clear and consistent, because this will help you actually review the material as you're writing your notes. If you can write them down slowly and in a structured way, that'll help you remember the content. And if it's easy to read, then while you're reviewing the content later on, you won't be struggling trying to figure out what a symbol means or how these graphs are related to each other. Now, you might not have to take the notes during classes. For example, in my orbital mechanics class, I would listen to the lecture, and then afterwards I would write down the notes neatly in the library. And this is because my professor was going pretty fast through the material, so it would be more beneficial for me, I thought, to listen to the content and try to understand it in class instead of scribbling it down during the class. But of course, there are other classes where the professor writes down slowly on the chalkboard and gives the opportunity to write and follow them as they're going through the material. So again, depending on the class, you're going to want to modify your note style. But I would highly recommend that for most classes, you should keep a good set of notes and a notebook to write your notes in. I know some people who like using iPads, but I prefer using paper and pencil because they don't run out of battery and it's easier to flip through to find my notes, I think. Tip 3 is to make acquaintances. Now, you don't need to be a social butterfly and be talking to everyone in the class, but there should be at least a few people that, you say hello to during class and after class. You talk about the content for a few seconds. And the reason I say this is because lots of times these people have access to friends and upperclassmen who have taken the class before and can give you important materials like study sheets or old quizzes and tests that you can study from. So it's important that you talk with people and not be a lone wolf, because you never know who might have an important piece of class material that is useful to you. And of course, you can study with these acquaintances, and who knows, maybe they become your good friends as well. So that's my third tip, is to make acquaintances. Tip 4 is to go to office hours and get to know your professors. Now, I know this is a pretty common tip, and everyone always says, go to office hours, meet the professors. But personally, for some of my classes, it has been helpful to go to office hours. Talking over some of the material with the professors has actually helped me understand it a little better. Sometimes they explain it in a different way that they didn't explain in class, which makes a topic make more sense. Going to office hours also helps with getting recommendations from professors in case you're applying for internships or jobs or a research position, because they recognize you, and by going to office hours, you show them that you're interested in the content, and it gives them more of a reason to recommend you. And sometimes in office hours, this has been the case in some of my classes, the professors even drop hints about upcoming exam questions, which you wouldn't have gotten access to if you didn't go to their office. So I know it's a common theme in these college advice videos to go to office hours, but definitely it's been a helpful tip for me. Tip 5 is to program and automate your work when possible. In lots of classes, you're going to have procedures and routines that you do for different questions that require a lot of manual calculations. For example, if you're drawing Moore's circle to find the principal stresses in advanced stress analysis, or if you're finding the stability of a system in control systems, with the Ruth Hurwitz criterion. These are all things that you can do by hand, but after a while it becomes tedious and repetitive, and you can do it much faster if you program it in MATLAB or Python. Not only is it faster, the actual act of typing the steps out helps you really see the structure of the algorithms that you're performing, because you have to be extremely clear when you're typing in MATLAB or Python code, right? Because computers are not smart, they do exactly what you tell them to. And if you can tell them exactly what you want to be done, that means that you understand the process. Tip 6 is to take care of your physical health. For one thing, try to get to bed on time, if not early, and get enough sleep. Don't be pulling all-nighters before an exam. For me, at least, I remember more when I have a full night's sleep. So it's important to structure your schedule to make sure you're completing assignments ahead of deadlines and not leaving everything to the last minute, which is difficult, but scheduling these things is important so that you're not bogged down and staying up the whole night to complete things and study. Now, besides that, I would say workout and exercise is important as well. So I try to work out at least 3 to 4 times a week. It's also good for taking breaks. So when I'm doing work, when I'm working on homework problems, I know that at this time, 9 o'clock or 8:30, I'll leave my desk and go to the gym, and it's a nice break from doing work for a while. Yeah, so exercise, sleep, and taking breaks are important, and your physical health should be one of your priorities in order to succeed. Tip 7 is to tutor and make study groups. So similar to what I was talking about before with programming the steps to problems, tutoring other people is a great way to make sure that you understand the topic yourself, because if you don't understand it, you probably can't teach it. And while you're teaching it, you might notice things about a topic that you didn't notice before. I was helping some of my friends with advanced stress analysis, and they would ask me questions that I realized I didn't know the answers to. But by figuring out that I needed to know that, it helped me gain a better understanding of the topic. So tutoring is a great way for you to solidify your knowledge and fill in gaps in your understanding where you might have not even known there were gaps in the first place. So if you're able to, hop on a Discord call or even find an empty classroom with a chalkboard and just write out some problems as you're studying for tests. Group discussion and studying can definitely be beneficial in helping you succeed in your engineering classes. Tip 8 is to focus on fundamentals. Engineering is all about details. So as I neared the end of my engineering degree, I noticed that the math sort of hit a cap in difficulty. It was the concepts that got really tough to handle. And one of the main reasons why is that these concepts were using math topics from a wide variety of sources. So for example, linear algebra, calculus 3, differential equations, we're using all of these math concepts that were taught in first and second year, but if you didn't have a good grasp of the fundamentals, it made things a lot more challenging. So what I would recommend is that if you're studying mechanical engineering, understand the basics and make sure you know them well and can do them without thinking. Know the basic concepts of statics and dynamics, linear algebra, free body diagrams. Those are important. They never go away. You always draw free body diagrams on your classes. So engineering isn't difficult because of complex math, although there is a lot of math in it. It's that there's a lot of math that you need to know, and without a good foundation, it makes it all that much more difficult. Knowing the basics is good, but it's not enough. You should know the basics well in order to succeed. And that's it. Those are my 8 biggest tips for surviving mechanical engineering. If you found any of them useful, let me know which one helped you in the comments down below. Or if you have your own tips to share, feel free to write them down in the comments as well. Also, if you're struggling with a class, let me know, and I'll see if I can make a video about it. Thanks for watching, and good luck out there.